Yo, what is up YouTube? Welcome to the not so scuffed Aatrox, Electrocute Aatrox guide. I'm the guy who does Electrocute Aatrox. I got Challenger this season, although now the cutoff is 1200 LP. I'm not sure what the hell is happening. There's a lot of inflation going on. I was Challenger 2 days ago, so hey, I hope that's still some credibility there. Yeah, I have a pretty good win rate on Aatrox on 220 games, 56 with a 3 KDA. I play a lot of Electrocute Aatrox, sometimes Conqueror in games where it matters. And this video should be kind of a guideline as to what to build and which runes to take. Now, first of all, this is not scuffed at all. Don't worry about it. Let's do our early game setup first. So as Aatrox, you want to just go D-Blade every game, whether you go Conquer or Electrocute. I personally believe that you don't need D-Shield. In harder matchups, you can go Second Wind, but I don't think D-Shield's good. So just go D-Blade every game. Now, in some matchups, you go Bone Plating, as you see the ones on the screen. Now, the reason you go Bone Plating in some of these matchups is it's hard for them to proc Bone Plating without all-inning you, right? So think about Jax. He can only proc Bone Plating in extended trades. For example, Set and Shen, it's hard for them to proc it randomly before they do their initial trade, right? And also, these champions generally get prio against us early game. All of them do, actually. And then when they fight you on the bounce, you need to have Bone Plating for that initial trade, right? So that you can get the crash. If you don't really understand any of that, don't worry about it. Just do it, okay? Just trust me. So now Second Wind. These are the matchups where you normally would go D-Shield into. If you're a really beta male, you can go both Second Wind and D-Shield, but then you're not an actual Aatrox player. You're just a fake Aatrox player. But yeah, you could do that. And then Last Stand, Cut Down. Now, the reason I say both of them is because they're both fine. In some matchups, I prefer Last Stand, such as in a Relia matchup, because this champion just never gets to go low HP. Like, Cut Down is not useful against her because she heals back up anyway. But the only time you actually use Cut Down is when you all-in her. And I think that, they're both fine. I personally prefer Cut Down because I think it's nice to have a way to kind of make the enemies low HP first, and then you kind of have lethal range after one combo, right? Because you only need one combo to put them in lethal range with Cut Down and Electrocute. Okay, that's the early game setup. Now let's go on to the first item. In some matchups, you have to go Steel Caps Rush, even if you have Electrocute, because it's too high value, okay? So the ones on screen, you can see they are the champions with the most mobility, so we need that movement speed. And they are all auto-attack reliant, right? Those are the two things they have in common. So they also don't have mixed damage, most of them, except for Aurelia and Jax. The rest of them don't have any mixed damage. They're all full AD or true damage and AD. That's why Steel Caps are high value against those champs. On the right, you can see that Edge of Night and Umbral Glaive are high value. Now, very simple reason. Edge of Night against Vayne, she has no way to proc it except using her E, but if she uses her E, you can all-in her. And Teemo, well, you can see all of his traps, and that's very nice. Against Teemo, I usually go Umbral Glaive into Edge of Night, actually. Because then he also can't Q you. Okay, now it's gonna get a little bit confusing. Let's go to the Voltaic first before we go to the Eclipse Under Sky. Voltaic, very simple. These champions are high mobility, they're range champs. You just buy Voltaic, then you ult, you auto attack them, and then your W guarantees to land, right? That's basically our strategy against those champions. However, against the champions where you see Eclipse / Thunder Sky, this is where the distinction comes between we are going to do a bruiser build, or we're going to do a lethality build, or we're going to do a hybrid build, I like to call it. Now, whether you go Eclipse or Thunder Sky depends on how the team comp looks in the enemy team. So let's say they have 3 melee champs, right? Let's say they have like a Olaf plus Sejuani plus Braum, and then they have, I don't know, a Victor, Ezreal mid ADC. In this case, bruiser build is quite high value because they have 3 melee champions. That's like basically my rule of thumb, right? Either bruiser or hybrid has good value. In a game like this, what is my job in the fight? Do I have an assassin in my team, like a Talon? If if we have a Talon, his job is going to be to kill the Ezreal Victor. In that case, my job is to be a bruiser / a hybrid, right? So I'm going to try and build bruiser that game, which will be Sunder Sky, and my hybrid build would be Sunder Sky into, and I can show you here, it will be Sunder Sky into Voltaic into Serradas. That is like a good bruiser / hybrid build. Now, a full-on bruiser build would be something like Sunder Sky, Shojin, and Starax, or Sunder Sky into Starax into Serradas, right? You would go like full-on, you're basically frontlining for your team. So this is why building on Aatrox is hard, because you need the mental capacity to, you need the mental capacity to ask yourself in-game, and it's a dynamic thing, it changes constantly. You need to ask yourself, what is my job this game in fights? Because Aatrox, let's be real, is a team fighting champion, right? You don't just split push. What is my job in a fight? Do I need to front to back? Do I need to flank? Who do I need to kill? Who do I need to protect? What is my job? Based on that, you are going to build your items. Based on that, okay? So we press tab, we see enemy have 3 melees, and their win condition is their Victor Ezreal. We don't have any assassins on our team. In that case, we go the hybrid build. We go the Sunder Sky, Voltaic, Serradas. If their carries are completely weak and useless, and you have an Akali and a Talon on your team, your job is no longer to kill them, right? In that case, we go Sunder Sky, Starax, or Sunder Sky, Shojin into Black Cleaver, or Overlords, or whatever. You know what I mean? You can go Serradas third as well to deal some damage to those tanks. That's fine. Okay, now, when do you go Sunder Sky? Well, we discussed it. You go Sunder Sky first when you go hybrid or full bruiser. When do you go Eclipse? You go Eclipse when you go Lethality. You can also go Eclipse into the bruiser build actually, but it's not that strong, because as a bruiser you kind of want that HP in your items. It is possible, but I don't really like it that much. So you go Lethality when you go Eclipse when you go the Lethality build. Now, in some games, you can skip Eclipse, because Eclipse is good for laning phase when you're even. But if you're ahead of your opponent before even buying Eclipse, you can get away with buying Voltaic first, because you win lane anyway. Because you're so ahead, right? Does that make sense? So let's say I'm against Trundle. I want to go Eclipse first. But if I stomp him in lane and I'm like 1,000 gold, 1,500 gold ahead of him, I'm going to skip Eclipse and go straight into Voltaic, because it's just more efficient. It makes more sense for my build. But if I was even with Trundle, I would need Eclipse to win lane, because without Eclipse, I would not be able to function that well into that champion. So it's like a luxury. If you're able to skip Eclipse, it's a luxury because you're winning lane, okay? That's my vision on it. Now, Eclipse is nice into high health targets, because it deals a percentage of their max health damage, physical 8% physical max health damage. In trades, you get the shield. Now, Aatrox's playstyle, I like to dive a lot. So with Eclipse, you can just like QW people on the turret, and you get the shield. And it's really nice because you don't take any tower damage, and you can just slowly chip them down and then do like a big dive, right? That's like pretty common way for me to stomp my lanes. And in some matchups, like for example against Aurelia, she goes Blade through King first. Eclipse is pretty nice because you don't buy any HP, so you don't play into that item's strength. And yeah, in general, I just like Eclipse. I think it's a very good item. I like the build path, pickaxe, Caulfield's plus longsword, very nice. This is the first items, so hope that was clear. Now, I have this website called Shiv. So the developer of this website actually came into my chat, and he made a custom build for me, which is crazy. This page here, he made this for me. You can see all the stats. You can see my games. You can see my whatever. I take Conk 15% of the time, and I take Electrocute 85% of the time. Now, you might be wondering, so why is your Conk win rate higher? The reason is, in the games where I go Conk, Aatrox is usually a better pick, right? The fact that you go Electrocute on Aatrox means that Aatrox is not that strong in that game, because Aatrox is not supposed to be an assassin. Aatrox is supposed to be a bruiser. So in the games where I do play Conk, Aatrox is already strong, and I play towards his strengths, which Aatrox is strong against low damage, low mobility comps, right? He sucks against high DPS, high mobility. He's good against low damage, low mobility, okay? That's why he's good against tanks, for example. Now, I go Conquer in games where I know I'm going to go Bruiser build that game no matter what, right? So if they have 3 or 4 melee champs, I'm going Conk. If they have 3 range champs or more, I'm going Electrocute. That is simply the meta that we're playing in. 50% of my games, I'm playing against 3 melee champs. The other games, I'm just playing against assassins and range champs, and that's just the meta. My Conk room page, I like to go this, right? I just go Electrocute, Conquer, Alacrity, Triumph, Last Stand, Cut Down, whatever. Electrocute's always the same. I go the same rune page every game. And the secondary, yeah, we already talked about that. For item builds, you can see here, right? Secondary, I often go this. Here you can see, sorry, I was pointing there at the wrong thing. Secondary, I often go Serpent's Fang when it's high value. Voltaic after my Thunder Sky. Edge of Night second has pretty high win rate actually. Third item, Serradas, is almost a must. But if they have like 2 or 3 really fat AD champions, Death Stand's super good. Maul is also really good if they have like 1 or 2 really fat AP champions. And often you go steel caps, so you already have your armor side covered, and then you can go Maul, and they have both armor and a Mar, and then you don't have to like slow your damage down by building, you know, more and more defensive items. You only really need 1 or 2. So this is a really good way to go about that. So yeah, I go either Death Stands and All In, or Maul, and sometimes I even go GA third, or I guess I don't too often anymore. I guess fourth, yeah. I used to be snowballing a lot more in lower elos, right? So GA was good, but I think GA is a good option when you are really ahead, and you know when a crucial team fight's gonna happen, and you have GA, you can just go all out, and especially against reset champions like Jinx and Viego, GA is really good value because when you die, they don't get a reset instantly; they have to kill you again, and that's really nice, right? And then obviously, you know, GA 5th item has 75% win rate. You know, if you can get GA last, it's really good. I kind of like Profane last as well, but it seems like my win rate's not too good on it. I don't know why, but Profane is a pretty decent item actually right now, I would say. Yeah, so this is the Bruiser build, right? Just you can look at it, pause the video, and this is the Electrocute build. Generally speaking, there are so many ways to build, you know, like the thing is every item has some value. You just need to think for yourself which item has more value than the other one. You know, that's like which item is better, this or that, and they're both good, but one of them is 5% stronger. In that case, you go that item. Now, yeah, I think that covers basically most of it. The nice thing about going Electrocute Ignite is that they synergize well, and you don't have to build any Bramble or Executioners when you have Ignite because it already reduces the healing, so you don't have to waste your gold. Now the playstyle of the Electrocute build, it's very simple. You just like flank and you play as aggressively as possible, and you try to just completely confuse them with the amount of damage you deal. This was a short video. I hope it made sense. If you have any questions or any suggestions about other videos, let me know, and peace out.